risk. Hello, I am Darcy, and welcome back to another episode of the Darcy Does It podcast, where I talk about knitting, sewing, my ideas, my tinkerings, my cats. Spot, get out of here. Spot, get out of here. Get. I am in St. Louis, Missouri with my cat Spot, my other cat Bernie, and my sweet dog Saucy Ann. I live here with my husband Arthur, where he is an occupational therapist. I'm a speech therapist, and we try and help people. I work in a school right now, and it's a religious school, a Catholic school. I'm not Catholic. And I just came from there. I rushed home to try to catch a little bit of daylight because we saved so much daylight that there's hardly any left for me to enjoy by the time I get off work. So here I am trying to rush home to record this episode for y'all. Today is November 28th. It is a Tuesday, and in St. Louis, the weather is cold as hell. We didn't get much fall. We've gone direct to winter, straight to winter, full winter right now. So in my last episode, I did do a giveaway, and I said that I would do a random comment picker, and I did do that, and I'll put the winner right here. I did get in touch with her already, and she did get her prize. The prize was several Lil Daddies from Whitney Marie, who is a clay artist based out of San Diego, and a $50 Passionates gift card to the online shop of Passionates Yarn. So I'm definitely going to be doing more giveaways. That was to celebrate getting 2,000 subscribers. So thank you to everyone who contributed to that and who left a comment. I'm still going through the comments, so please don't think that I didn't care if you left a comment and I didn't reply to it. It just takes me some time to get through all of them, but I am going to read all of them and reply to all of them. So thank you for entering. Thank you for being part of this community here. And thank you for just giving me advice on my knit stuff and giving me ideas and encouraging me when I'm, onto something good, but also suffering along with me when I'm doing something bad. So sometimes I get into the bad stuff, like just trying to garter stitch my way through this project when it just really needed to be steeked. But this was a success story, so let me get straight into what I'm wearing. And this is the Cleo cardi. I'm gonna step back and let y'all take it all the way in. Oh shit. All right, let me move my spinner. All right, that's something else I need to show y'all is my spinning. So this is the outfit I wore today. As evidence that I did actually wear it, I have some random child something from the school here on my top, but wore these little pants. I got this top and these pants at the Goodwill. Let me just show you the top, because the sweater is the star right now, but I didn't wear this sweater to work. But this has a beautiful lacy sleeve. Don't you love that? But for the purposes of this podcast, it's more important to focus on the sweater itself. So let me put it back on. So it was steeked. I'll show you the insides. So this is where I sewed the steeked edge, right here. And you can see it's a little raised. Let me hold it like that. You can see it's just a little raised, but it's mostly flat. And then on this side, I have some gorgeous knit buttons. How awesome are these? So I'm gonna put in a clip of my grandmother actually helping me to decide what kind of buttons to put on this.
For the LGBTQ community.
They're the same size as him.
They do have race and protections here in the city, and
Yeah, those too big.
to other
Those the winners. And I asked in my last episode, and somebody said clear buttons. And my cousin Velva, hey Velva, if you watching, girl, you don't even knit. She doesn't even knit, but she watches this podcast. She had said clear buttons would be a good idea. And if I hadn't done this, I would have gone clear. But then they would have been hard to find when I was trying to put them on. So let me explain what's happening here. These are 5 vintage buttons that I got in a tin of buttons from my uncle, who had some leftover sewing stuff in his house from my grandmother when she previously lived in the house. And when she moved out, this tin of buttons got left behind. So he brought this tin of buttons to my house during the pandemic, and I hadn't used any of them. So I was thinking, this would be a great addition to this sweater if I use these buttons, but there weren't any colors in there that I really liked or that really went with the project. So my grandmother looked at them and she pulled out some red buttons. And if you can see through the stitches in these buttons, you can kind of see the red in the background. And the red really supports the pink to give it a little more power behind it, even though they're really not stretched so thin that you can see totally through, but you can see a little red. Come on, focus, shit. Over here, there you go. You can see a little red. Anywho, what I'm sure you're all really looking at is this patch I put over here. And this was just a random hole. And I believe that a moth got in here at some point. And this project was on hold for about 2 years. And it lived, under the couch, like over there under my yarn thing. It had several different homes as it was waiting for its final destination. Oh, that sounds kind of bad, like final destination. But it's alive. Like it didn't get the axe. So finding that hole in it really just took me there, because it already had problems the way that I was trying to avoid the purling. I've discussed this at length on previous episodes, so I'm not gonna make y'all listen to that again. But I just knit a little patch in my contrast color and I sewed it on. And I did put a video on YouTube. I put a video on Instagram of how I did this repair, and maybe I should post that on YouTube Shorts. Do y'all watch Shorts? I never really watched them, but yeah, maybe I should put it on Shorts. But it's on Instagram and I'll link it in the description. The name of this pattern is the Cleo Cardi, and it is originally written for mohair, but I used a fingering weight yarn from Black Smoke Fibers called Wild Berries and Cream, and I used about 3 skeins of yarn for this project. I'm super happy with it. I'm really happy it's done, and I'm glad that I have a cardigan. But now that I have one cardigan, if you card once, you got to card again. So I'm gonna have to do some more. Probably not this pattern. Maybe some garter stitch patterns, because the other cardigan that I have is garter stitch, and it's actually like a not Wool in the Gang. Who is the other people? They like Wool in the Gang, same flavor. I want to say Woolen Folk because everybody's been talking about that, and I've been watching so many YouTube videos about Woolen Folk. It's not Woolen Folk. It's called, I'm going to have to just put it in the video because I don't remember what the name is. We Are Knitters. That's the name. We Are Knitters. But it's a bulky weight yarn, so it's not as practical. Like a fingering weight cardigan is like an everyday type of girl you can just throw on top of whatever you got. And I'm thinking the next one I do will be more neutral, whereas like this is really a statement, especially with this visible mending I did here. And I think that just looks incredible. And I'm happy, it's kind of like a scar. And I didn't want to just try to make it look like nothing happened. I actually really like the little patch. And this was a prototype for the buttons. Yeah, it's Artie. Hello. Hey, babe. I'm recording my podcast right now.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You're okay, babe.
Maybe I'll call and ask.
Okay.
Okay, love you, bye.
All right, love you. Bye, babe. We're getting new windows. So yeah, Artie was calling to find out when he should schedule that for anyway. This was a prototype, the little patch of the covers for the buttons. And when I made this one, I realized this is too big and the stitches are not tight enough, but then it found new life. So it's a circle. So I'm just looking at my notes over here. I talked about my cardigan. Oh, this is the Cleo Cardi by Rachel Kuihara. I really hope that's how you say her name. Heat pack. Okay, so the other thing I finished, which is not yarn related, but this was a big win for me. So this is a big FO in my book. The other thing I finished is this little rice heat pack. And I'll just pull part of it out. So this is what it looks like on the inside. And it's just some cotton with little, I guess like rows to keep the rice from all going from one side, because that was the problem I had with my last one. The last one I had is dearly departed. I had an accident when I was waking up early in the morning and I knocked over my coffee with condensed milk all over my heat pack, and as it was stuffed with flax seeds, it was done. Like once milk gets on something like that, it's over. So I decided I need to make a new one, and this is an improved design. I don't get a lot of migraines, but when I get them, I like heat. So the one that I had before was a little less wide, and I think it was about the same length, but I need something that can cover my eyes and my forehead. So this is perfect. And I put a little cover on it just because sometimes, you know, a little schmutz gets on there, to protect it a little bit. And it turns out the denim actually protects it, and it also holds the heat in a little bit better. So it stays hot longer than the one that I had before. So, and this denim is from some old jeans that I had cut up anyway. And this was like one of the leg sections. And I just did like a pillow sham closure so that I can still take it out. So then that way, when I put it in the microwave, I don't have to worry about like a zipper or buttons or something like that burning up. So I'm very proud of this, and I've done one heat, you know, in the microwave just to try it out, and I'm really pleased. And I love these far more than like a hot water bottle. For some reason, I don't want water in the bed with me ever. Like even if it's in a hot water bottle, I just feel like there's something bad's waiting to happen when there's water in the bed. Like, and I have animals, you know, they're always looking for an opportunity to like make disasters. So I have to use what I know to try to minimize their ability to do that. So this is one way. And I made a small one that I actually took to work with me already and left at work because my shoulder was like, something about my neck, like how I slept, my shoulder needed a little heat on it today. So I was glad that I had two of them. The other one that I made is a little smaller, and I didn't do the columns. I just made it less give so that the rice doesn't have as many places to go. I just like plumped it, stuffed it full. And I did look at a blog post on the topic to decide what to fill it with, because the last one I had with flax seeds was very nice and it didn't have a big smell, but I read that they can become rancid because of the oils in there. So I decided to just go with my tried and true. What I know in the ones that I've made in the past was rice, and I used jasmine rice because that was supposed to have less aroma. So that's the only other thing that I've really finished. So I didn't have a whole lot to show, but I did make a promise to y'all that I was going to film once every manicure, and I'll show y'all my nails. These are some of my favorite nails I've gotten in a while, and they're kind of, they're kind of like 3D on this hand, and then they're just plain. I usually get plain on my left hand because my wedding ring is kind of, you know, it's blinging, and I feel like it looks best with plain nails on this hand, but I don't want to miss an opportunity for some razzle dazzle, so I got some of those like 3D builder gel I guess designs on this hand. I hope it's focusing. Yeah, there we go. So each one looks a little different, and my nail lady, Miss Wen, is an artist when it comes to the nails. I'm going to see her in 2 days, and I know that if I didn't film this today, I was going to break my promise to y'all, and I do try as much as possible to be a woman of my word, and that's why we're here right now. I have some other things I've started that I want to talk about, and I did start my shawl of many colors. It isn't a pattern that I designed. Like, I was hoping that sweet baby Jesus would rain down the idea on me, and then I would just be able to make it and it would be perfect. But that wasn't what happened. I actually saw this pattern had just came out, and it's called Little Gemstones. It's called Little Gemstones, and that's what it looks like. And it's by Verily Knits by Claire Slade. I don't know anything about Claire. Hopefully she's a nice person. But this pattern is genius, and it uses 9 yards or 8 meters of yarn for each gem. And in the size that is the sample size, there are 78 individual gems. But the way that it's constructed is like a stair-step pattern. So on the first step, there's, or if you imagine like how you stack solo cups for those cup challenges when y'all be doing the, you have 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, so on, until you get to 78, which is the sample size. But I am knitting to 105 because that is what you get if you keep going up until you have 14 rows. So this project is for my grandmother's 100th birthday. And if you saw my last podcast, you saw me like breaking down and crying, and I cut away from that so y'all didn't have to see it. But I'm making this as a birthday present to her. And I have 100 scrap yarns. And if you want to see more of that, check out my last episode 17, where I discuss and show like the huge bin of yarns that I was going to use. But at that time, I had not started the project yet or even discovered this pattern. So I am so in love with this pattern, y'all. And the only thing that could make me love it more is if it was my own idea. But this pattern is so smart. It's so clever how you add the gems. It's so clever how you, is this the right side? Are y'all looking at the right side or wrong side? No, y'all looking at the wrong side. It's so clever how you add the rows in between, how you cast on additional stitches. Just everything about this pattern makes sense. The only thing I would add as a note in the pattern is that you should try to weave in the ends as you go, because this would be a freaking nightmare doing all these different colors without weaving the ends in as you go. And there's just no reason to like save that until the end, unless you just like suffering. But I've used so far 55 colors, and I'm gonna continue, but I have enough already kind of in the bank such that I don't have to work exclusively on this to be able to finish it in time for my grandmother's birthday, which is on January 2nd. And I'm gonna put in some pictures of me and my grandmother. If you follow me on Instagram, which you totally should be doing, Darcy Does It, DARCI does it, you can find out more information about like how she taught me to sew, how she taught me to crochet, really taught me the value of making something for yourself and the value of knowing how to do something for yourself. And I'm not about to cry again. Oh my gosh. I guess however she liked it.
When you gonna crochet her up?
Because Christianity is based upon the
I mean, go knit her up.
Number one.
I swear.
For what?
For what?
She don't appreciate that.
Don't you appreciate her?
Yes. But she gonna turn my stuff up. Ain't that right, Saucy?
Oh, she not gonna tear it up.
It was that her saying no.
You bet.
But she's turning 100, and she says that she has asked the Lord to let her live to 105 at least. So the way that this pattern stacks up so that there's 105 gems on the top row, if I do 14 rows, that was kind of the chef's kiss that I needed to know that this was the pattern. This was the right pattern. So she said at least 105. So if she makes it past 105, then I'm gonna have to add on another row. Then that would be 15 on top. So then she's gonna have to live to 120. So that'll be a funny joke that I'm sure she will think is funny when I give it to her. But she really loved this sweater that I'm wearing a lot, and I do have more of this yarn. She loved the yarn. So I have more of this yarn, and I'm trying to think, could I eke out a sweater for her and this project and the other stuff I'm working on? I'm not gonna put all that pressure on myself, but I'll work on this first, and then maybe Mother's Day she could get a sweater like this. So I'm just trying to balance out the colors in this and make it so that it's not all variegated with variegated. I'm trying to mix in tonals, solids. I even have some self-striping yarns in here. And I wish that I could like just hold it up, you know, so that you could see it better, like spread it out. But I'm in the middle of a row. Let me just finish this one a little. Let me see, what was I doing here? Was I just going across? What was I doing here? Oh yes, I was just finishing this row. So I'm gonna just finish that. The white yarn that I'm using is a mohair wool silk blend from Pearl Soho, and it gives a little fuzziness, but it doesn't seem to be shedding too bad, which is my biggest problem with mohair. And especially a project like this, well, I won't be wearing it, but if I were going to make a project with this white color, I would be very wary because mohair is very attracted to my locks, and it really just becomes part of my hair. And then if you don't take it out, it's really in there, and then you have to dye it. So I did dye it once since I have had my locks. I dyed it almost like a burgundy-ish color. You might be able to see it a little in the sun, but it's starting to fade a little. But I don't want to have to dye it all the time. I want to just try and keep, you know, lint and things out of it as much as possible. So I would say this is shedding less than a typical mohair. So that's good news, but you just can't trust mohair in general, or mole hair, as Artie says. We are still married. We're together. Just in case anyone was wondering. And shout out to the lady at the Fiber Festival who asked me, you know, are you guys still together? Yes, we are still together. And he's at work right now. He's at work trying to provide me with that good health insurance. So he's not here on the podcast. And it just became too much to try to schedule the time with him when there was the right lighting, when I was available, when I felt like it. So it was, you know, just too difficult to coordinate. And in the end, he definitely was a good, you know, a good sidekick, but we had to go on without him, and that was his wishes for us to go on without him. So, but he is good. He is he's just like the best guy in the world. I freaking love him so much. I love how he loves me and supports me, and he's just an integral part of my family now. You know, since we moved to St. Louis, you know, we've been visiting my grandmother a lot more, and one of her neighbors asked me maybe like 2 weeks ago, so when did you marry into the family? And I was like, me? Married into the... You think that he's her grandson? I just had to laugh. I was like, ma'am, she's my mother's mother. I'm not married, and he's the one that's married into the family. But that's the kind of partner you need in life. Somebody who people can't tell who's the one that's married in. And I'm hoping that for everybody out there, everybody that wants it, because not everybody want to be with somebody. It's definitely work to share your life with someone else. But I think if you pick the right person and you work hard enough at it, it's totally worth it. Anyway, now I can hold this up and show it to you decently. So that's the wrong side. I'm gonna turn it to the right side. So it's quite large. See, I'm already dropping the stitches. Okay, I'm gonna hold the ends. I need some point protectors. I actually have some, but they're not on here right now. Look how gorgeous. Okay, let me pose for my thumbnail. And that's the thumbnail. All right. So I have this toxic trait that once I knit something and I like it, I start imagining countless, endless versions of that same thing that I'll never make. Stuff I know I'm not gonna make, but couldn't you just imagine how beautiful this would be in, hear me out, a gradient yarn, but you got 2 balls of it and you knit from one end as the gems and from the other end as the main color. So like imagine it would be dark, the dark main color, like what I have white, and then a gradient of gems going from light to dark. That would just be so beautiful. I could imagine endless projects with this, but I'll link this in the description so that you can find this project. I got it on a discount because it was new, and I think it was about $6.50, but I think the regular price is like $8 or something. Very affordable, especially for not having to wait on sweet baby Jesus to come give me this idea. So I was happy to pay that for this pattern. And I'll probably make it more than once, so I'll definitely get my money's worth. These are the other yarns that are up next as my contrast. And as I've been knitting these, I'll just grab some out of that big bin, put them in here, and then as I knit them, I put the ones that have already been used in this bag. So here's some of the ones I just used, and that just helps me to keep them from getting mixed up or grabbing the same one more than once. So I really will have 105 different colors for this project. So that's what I've been working on. And I have one new acquisition, but I also want to show you my spinning. So I've been spinning a little, and I'll show you how much I have left on my first bobbin. So this is the Malabrigo Cloud Nube that I've been working on. And it's green, no, not green, it's yellow with some purple and burgundy-ish tones. So I'm gonna pick up my Ida B wheels over here so you can see it. And that's how much I have on this bobbin for right now. This is all I have left to spin before I swap out that bobbin to do my second bobbin. And then this is what the second bobbin will have on it. And this has been going extremely slowly just because I haven't been very diligent about spinning. I've been kind of freaking out about working on my grandmother's project, and I was really hoping the idea would come to me. Now that's all behind me, and I really need to focus more on this spinning. So I'm gonna finish spinning this today, and I'm gonna set my timer for 15 minutes, and I'm trying to redevelop a spinning habit so that I can just do a little at a time. I have hurt myself in the past by spinning too much at a time, and my knees will hurt the next day and be cracking, and I'm not trying to overdo it. That's really what I was doing. So I think the key for me is setting a timer or really just breaking off a small amount of roving, and when it's done, it's over. So get up. Don't break another piece off. Don't, keep going. And I have to limit myself because my knees are just not cut out for a lifetime of spinning, multiple hours at a time. So I had to be real with myself on that. The place that I bought my spinning wheel from is a yarn store in Philly called Wild Hand. And I actually have an acquisition from there that I'm going to show. And I follow them on Instagram. Wild Hand has a really, I would say, evolved perspective on humanity when it comes to how they view their responsibility to animals, to people, to the earth. And they just state that outright. And they even include this little card in here. This was what came in the package. But let me also just show the package. This is a compostable mailer. And these were the mailers that I used when I was using mailers for Fiber and Color. I started out using these, and then they weren't big enough, the ones that I had. So I switched to a recycled paper mailer. But this says, thanks, we appreciate you. Thank you for supporting Wild Hand. We are a community that believes in the magic of fiber craft to bring together people who share a vision of an imaginative and just world. We believe that the well-being of our fiber community, including the people, land, and animals that create the supplies we sell, is more important than anything else. Read more about our community commitment here. So I really like that this is included in the purchase, and I don't think they were including these at the time that I bought my spinning wheel from there. But this type of message is available on their social media and on their website. So I do appreciate a yarn store that will just come right out and say that we do care about having a just world. So that's an easy way to get my business. They also have mailed this, instead of being in that crispy crunchy plastic, which my cat Spot, that's actually her favorite snack.
Another one. I need someone who's the entire package. And hopefully
Don't do
comes
it.
with a nice package as well.
Is that crunchy plastic, those, you know, bags that people put the yarn in sometimes. And I really know that we've made them soft, the animals, because she wouldn't survive in the wild, because she really believes that that's edible. And when I have to clean up her hairballs that she hacked up, or her just throwing up the plastic because she can't realize, this is not food. But this is also the same cat that turns her nose up at Costco food because she doesn't even acknowledge that that's edible. Crazy. But you'll eat plastic? Anyway, I'm glad that that's not this packaging. This is a compostable kind of thing. And honestly, I might use this again for something else. I can put it in my compost. And we have a compost bin out in the back. This is the yarn. This is a extra fine merino from Fila Fiber Co. Let me see. Yep, Fila Fiber Co. And this is the color Wild Hand. And it is 100% extra fine superwash merino, 437 yards, 100 grams. It's a fingering weight, 4-ply. Hand wash, cool water, lay flat to dry, $28. And I thought to myself, how are y'all selling this for $28? Extra fine? And to me, in my luxury yarn era, I saw this and I was like, $28. And then I received it and I was like, this is definitely extra fine. And I don't think this is a fair price. I think that this is needs to be a little bit more than $28, just in all fairness. But the quality of the yarn, it looks really nicely dyed, very even, and the two skeins that I got do look pretty similar. And do you see the label? Can you see that? How it's not a matte paper, it's almost like it's got a little shimmer to it. And this just seems to me like a high quality product. And when I saw they posted this on Instagram and that this was the shop color, I had to go ahead and get some. So if you are looking for some extra fine for a great price, I mean, this is for the luxury, for the people looking for luxury. I'm not sure if they still have it in stock. I bought this, I bought it before my last podcast, but it came after I filmed the last podcast. So it's been a little bit. They might have some left, but they had a bunch of colors available. So definitely check this out. So that's the only thing I've acquired. I know a lot of people do like the snack segment, and I did try a new restaurant, and I have a donut from that place that I haven't tried yet. The place is called The Sweet Spot, and I'll just add some stuff about that here. This was a place that Artie went with one of his clients, and actually he didn't go with one of his clients. He was taking his client to do laundry, and this place was nearby. So he checked it out. He had rave reviews about it. Now, if you know Artie in person, you know that he'll eat anything. So his rave reviews, you got to take with a grain of salt. But me, on the other hand, I know good food. And this place, the food was incredible. I really did. And for the price, I think we bought 6 donuts, a 3-egg omelet with a bunch of veggies, and Artie also got a breakfast burrito, 2 coffees, $32. And in this economy, I mean, you can't hardly get 2 coffees for $32. I don't know how they're selling food at these prices, but if you're in St. Louis and you're looking for a good place to eat and you're looking for a bang for your buck, go to the Sweet Spot because they got the good stuff. Now, I previously had an old-fashioned donut, which is the standard for evaluating any donut at a donut place. Like, you got to try the old-fashioned to know if it's really worth going to. Not going to test the old-fashioned was delicious. That's why I'm not sitting here with the old-fashioned donut, because it's gone already. But this was the recommendation of the staff member that was there. And he said, try the fried croissant. So I've got the fried croissant, and I'm going to just take a nibble and let you know how it is. It does have a sweet aroma, not overly indulgent though. The glaze is not super thick, but it's still present. Definitely a well-baked croissant. See, now I'm getting to my great British bacon, Darcy. No soggy bottom. We got good texture here. I'm definitely worse than Paul Hollywood. This is delicious, but it does need to be warmed up. I'm the kind of girl that likes a warm donut. I also like warm cake. I like warm pie. I want it to just be a little warm. This is room temp right now, but I'm gonna finish it off camera after I put it in the microwave and get it a little bit warmed. But that is something I would eat on occasion, not something I would eat all the time. That's why it was so special to go there, because I know I'm not going to be going there all the time. The Sweet Spot. They do deliver, and they have carry out, and they have dine in. So check them out if you're in St. Louis or you're coming to St. Louis. The last thing I want to talk about is my book. Not my book, but what I'm reading. I did a book update, like not last podcast, but the one before that. And I read Hopeless and Losing Hope by Colleen Hoover. Yes, I read those. They were good. I mean, if you like that kind of book. I saw that a lot of people were trashing it online, and I just don't think that's necessary. When I was studying abroad in Argentina, there was a very pretentious guy on the study abroad trip with me. And at the time, I was reading a John Grisham book. And I like mysteries. I like, suspense kind of books. And he asked me what I was reading. And then when I said that, he put me down so much that I was thinking, like, is there something wrong with, like, am I unrefined because I'm not reading like Jane Eyre, just in my spare time? I'm not flipping through Shakespeare, like moments before I go off to sleep. Like, and the 19-year-old me that had that experience was like, is it me? And 31-year-old me is like, that guy was an asshole. And you should read whatever you want to read. Just like you should knit whatever you want to knit. So I did read those books. I enjoyed them. I thought that they were good. They are not, I don't think winning any awards for literary prose or, anything like that. If that's what you are looking for, that ain't the book for you. But there's different writers out here everywhere, writing, just writing for different tastes. So I started a new book called The Silent Patient, and I found out about that book from a from a Libby book list that was curated by librarians. I love that on Libby you can look at books that librarians suggest. They also have several lists for Native American Heritage Month, for Veterans Day. They had a list. Also, can we just talk about Native American Heritage Month? Because this is the first year that I've ever heard of such a thing. And yes, like definitely learning about Native Americans definitely need a month. I mean, the way that white supremacy is set up, everybody needs a month. So, but I don't feel like there was ever really an announcement or maybe I missed it, or like, you know, a kickoff, or, you know, some type of establishment. Like, this is the month, this is when it's gonna be. So it's already the end of the month, the 28th, and I really didn't have any idea that the month was happening. So next year I hope to do, you know, more. And I had checked out a few books from the list by Native American authors that I wanted to read that were suggested by those librarians. So I'll give some updates on those as I work my way through the list. I also wanted to say, for anyone out there doing a Libby to Kindle like transfer for your Libby books, a hack I've learned is that if you're a slow reader, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a slow reader, but I might not finish a book in 2 weeks. Usually I read for about 10, 20 minutes before I go to bed. And at that rate, I just might not finish a book before the library wants to take it back. If you need a little more time with the book, you can just turn your Kindle in airplane mode and they take the book back. You know, the library can reissue it to someone else that's waiting for it, but they can't take it off your Kindle if you're in airplane mode. So that's the reason I like having a separate device only for books, so that I can leave that in airplane mode and really use it only for reading. The last thing I want to share, because I shared that donut, I want to share something healthy that I actually made and it turned out really good. It is the Smokey Incen stew. And I'll show this because I did find the recipe online, and I'm going to link it. But this is a recipe with quinoa in like an adobo sauce with sweet potatoes, corn, tomatoes, and black beans. So we've been trying to eat more heart healthy foods, and I have this vegan cookbook that I bought when we were living in New York, and I cooked a bunch of stuff from it, but I'm not even close to getting halfway through it. So I cooked it, it looked just like that, and it was delicious. The smoky adobo definitely added a lot of flavor and a little spice, and I like a little spice. So these are the books I'm working on, and that is pretty much everything I have for you. I am gonna be working on my pattern for the Passionates Kwanzaa Advent, and I'm gonna be maybe sharing some tidbits of that as I go, but that'll be the next pattern that I release. And I'm actually waiting for the yarn to come today from Incen so that I can get started on that. So if you didn't get a Kwanzaa Advent, then perhaps you might like to get the pattern separately once it's available. But I want to thank you for sticking with me through this episode. And the sun is setting on me. I literally rushed home to have enough sunlight to record, and I just barely have made it. So I will see you in my next episode. So, okay, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.